Yup. Hopefully that flips correctly. And it hasn't. That's unfortunate. Anyway. I really wish my camera had more capabilities, like it could record, I could flip it like Snapchat. How can Snapchat do it, but this phone can't? But yeah, I'm going to read this book. It's definitely contributed to helping me quit and change my perspective on it. And to be honest, I would say it's kind of helped me quit any like addiction, like when I've quit junk food. So I think it's like a universal mindset, and it's good, man. I'm trying to think. Fraser, the hydrated Aussie man that read it. I've honestly watched his video, like, at this point, probably about 35 times. I'm not gonna lie, because I would just repeat it. When I first started cutting down last year, I would just repeat it, because for the first few days, in particular, for example, you're gonna have really, really high cravings. So I was just like reading this like the Bible. It's really good. I like him. He's only doing it to help people. He's not doing it trying to like get views or anything like that. You can tell he's not that sort of guy. Yeah, like I said, you can use it for different addictions, which is ironically is how it came about. So the original writer, Alan Carr, I think he did it for smoking, and then I believe he adapted it for different addictions, which I'm not really sure how that works. I don't want to bash the guy, but I thought that was just about making money because, as I've said, I've read this one, which is specific to quitting pornography, and I can already use that for other things, because it's more the concept of just actually looking at things objectively and being a lot more like objective about, am I actually gaining anything from this or not? So yeah, I just thought I'd give it a go, reading it myself. Yeah, like I said, I've read it so many times. I read it recently for the first time in quite a long time, which is a good sign, because I just feel like it's in there, it's in my head now. And then it just got to the point of just having to do the work. And as the book says, the first two major checkpoints would get into 5 days and then get into 21 days. And for me, in my experience, every single time I've quit, that is absolutely true for getting past the urges. Now I'm on over 31 days, because I set the goal of doing the whole of this year without watching it once. And yeah, so far so good. Yeah, can't remember what I was saying, to be fair. So anyway, I think we give it a go. Do not jump chapters. I really want to shout, but I've got people in the house, and it's about quitting porn, so let's not do that, to be fair. But yeah, anyway, so the cover that I was trying to show you, that at least from how I was seeing it, didn't flip it the way I wanted it to, but it said, the easy peasy way to quit porn. Painlessly quit porn immediately, without willpower or any sense of deprivation or sacrifice. And yeah, so this is me doing it off the website, its own website, easypeasymethod.org. I've used YouTube every time I've listened to him do it. I originally did his original, where it's like 5.5 hours. It's got all the filler and stuff in between, and yeah, then he did a shortened version like a year ago that he's edited. So I've just always watched or listened to that. I've got YouTube Premium, so you can I can just lock it up, and sometimes I listen to it going to bed and stuff. That really wasn't a flex. I like to explain things properly. So really not much to flex about because I'm the fool paying the money. So yeah. So it starts with do not jump chapters. This open source book will enable you to stop using pornography immediately, painlessly, and permanently, without willpower or any sense of deprivation or sacrifice. It won't place any judgment, embarrassment, or pressure to undergo painful measures. In fact, there's absolutely no need to cut down or reduce your usage whilst reading. Doing so is actually detrimental. You might be apprehensive about the very thought, or one of the millions actively attempting to quit. If so, perhaps what you've already read goes against everything you've ever been told. But ask yourself if what you've been told has worked. If it had, you wouldn't be reading this book at all. Perhaps you identify with the following questions. Do you spend far more time viewing porn than you originally intended? Are you unsuccessful in efforts to stop or limit your consumption of pornography? Has time spent viewing pornography interfered with or taken precedence over personal or professional commitments, hobbies, or relationships in your life? Do you go out of your way to keep your pornography consumption secret, i.e. deleting browser history or lying about viewing? Has viewing pornography caused significant problems in intimate relationships? Do you experience a cycle of arousal and enjoyment before and during pornography consumption, followed by feelings of shame, guilt, and remorse after? Do you spend significant amounts of time thinking about pornography even when not watching it? Has viewing pornography caused any other negative consequences in your personal or professional life, i.e. missed work, poor performance, neglected relationships, financial problems? If you're a porn user, I read that as if you're a porn star. That depends on it for masturbation or sex at all, and for any reason, all you need to do is read on. If you're here for a loved one, all you need to do is persuade them to read this book. But if unable to persuade them, read the book yourself. Understanding the method assists getting the message across and preventing your children from starting. Don't be fooled by the fact that they don't have access to it now. All do before getting hooked. And what I will add to that is, I did mention it in my first video. I literally did get shown it from like friends, good friends I'm still friends with now. Like, how would they know better? We were all the same age. We're literally kids, just started being teenagers. See, I got shown it by two friends I can remember, and I even remember the scenes. So you can't tell me like it wasn't influential. Do you know what I mean? Like I still remember the actual scenes, like who was in it. So yeah, pretty crazy. So yeah, I would say I was like year 8, so I was probably 13, 14 max. And to that point, that's why it's dangerous, because it's a drug, and it's a drug that kids can be put on because it's, you're not going to be smoking it. People can't be caught with it. Well, you can be caught with it, but you get my point. So, yeah. Okay, about the book. This book is a rewritten version of a rewrite of Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Smoking for Pornography. It's free and open source and licensed under CC by SA. Its success rests on the foundation that you do not jump chapters. When opening a combination lock, you have to enter the numbers in the right order. Addiction isn't any different. Personally, the original Google Sites version that wasn't written by me changed my life. If you're anything like most people, you discovered porn when relatively young and have used it ever since. So for me, roughly, you're talking 13 to 28. That's 14 years. Literally half my life. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Unlike stumbling across the overwhelming yet somewhat censored literature warning of the dangers, like myself, you've probably succeeded with streaks of various lengths, but have always eventually succumbed to illusory urges. I'm pleased to report this method works entirely different and has been the only method that has worked. Probably true for me, without thinking too deep into it. Or perhaps you've been linked this book by a concerned party and are skeptical. A concerned party? Firstly, thank you for at least looking at it. This will be expanded upon shortly, but please briefly recall the first time you looked at pornography. Did you expect that you'd return to it for the rest of your life? According to my own informal studies on the matter, pestering friends to read this book, Easy Peasy is equally as effective for the casual porn user as it is for the heavily addicted. It's not terribly long, with high chances of large gains, so I beg you to continue reading. I actually think he's updated this. This little bit sounds different. I know he said he was going to. Anyway, the method described in this hack book is instantaneous. Yeah, true. Equally as effective for the heavy and casual user alike. Causes no bad withdrawal pangs. Needs no willpower. Requires no shock treatment, aids and or gimmicks. Won't cause you to replace... I could hear someone struggling to get their car going. Won't cause you to replace this addiction with other addictions, such as overeating, smoking, or drinking. Permanent. You might find this impossible to believe, but this sentiment is echoed by many people. Here are some quotes by the many people. This is the seminal work on porn addiction. I'm not quite sure what that means. I know what a seminar is, so that's the closest. Anyway, some guy on Reddit I can't find. Don't think the pun was intentional. Oh, seminal. I was addicted for 10 years. Those 10 years I was crippled with depression, doubt, anxiety, and fear of my secret getting out. After every session, I hated myself. And after every porn diet, I was back down the water slide in no time. The porn diet, such an important way to look at it. However, this book helped me stop. I was always on the defensive against porn in the past. However, now, after reading this book twice, I am on the offensive. Porn has no control over me and feels like a sad joke now. I don't even think that quite does it justice. You saw my reaction, like, it's 14 years, man. More than a sad joke, right? But it's deep. It's very, very toxic, very, very evil. That was by user Deep Newt. A few days ago, I turned 20 years old. For the first time in a very long time, I spent my birthday free from the porn trap. I'm just going to try and get comfy. Try and get comfy up in here. Okay, very good. Google Pixel phone. Apple laptop. Very good. Excuse me, where was I? I turned 20 years old a few days ago. Happy birthday. For the first time in a very long time, I spent my birthday free from the porn trap. And it's all thanks to this book that I haphazardly stumbled upon only a few months ago. Before that, I had spent so much time trying to quit through traditional means, and I experienced so much inner turmoil and labelled myself permanently as an addict. Up in there. Now I don't. And that's fucking deep, man. Like, I plan on never watching it again. And I know I can do that. It's wicked. The book solved all of that for me. Where I previously feared I had no control over myself, even when I'd unknowingly already beaten the little monster, I can now find pride in realising I don't need to be an addict anymore. I don't really have a reason for posting this. I just felt like I needed to put this down somewhere other than inside my head, because it means so much. If you're reading this, and are thinking about reading or recommending the book, take it from me that it works better than any other method out there. My biggest tip is to take notes, which sounds funny, but it really helped me solidify certain ideas. Anyway, I did make notes in my own time. Journaling is just very good. It's been scientifically proven that just writing it, like on pen and paper, like not, I'm sure on your phone is still good, but it's been scientifically proven, pen and paper, and I do think that is the gold standard. It just helps solidify things in your head. Feel it here, it does. Because, you're literally, literally a mind-muscle connection. Very good. Chapter 1.1. So I guess, was that all the preface? Well, chapter 1 was the introduction. Yeah, and now we're on 1.1, called Warning. If you're expecting this book to scare you into quitting using the various health issues users risk, such as sexual dysfunction, including porn-induced erectile dysfunction, unreliable arousal, loss of interest in real sex partners, brain hypofrontality, and the blinding accusation that it's a filthy, disgusting habit and you're a stupid, spineless, weak-wheeled jellyfish, you'll be sorely disappointed. Those tactics never helped me to quit, and if they were going to help you, you'd have quit already. That's a pretty bad Aussie accent. I won't lie to you, but that was kind of out of respect. Shout out to Mr. Fraser. Because I just remember that specific bit, it just like really, I don't know, it was very Aussie. It was sick. Conventional methods of quitting advocate using willpower or porn diet. Substitution methods such as using once every N days and cutting down consumption. Some sites list peer-reviewed research about neurotransmitters and neuroplasticity, and while these sites are informative, many are aware of the health risks and choose to do nothing, though such material is typically avoided. Very, very true. A lot of people just kind of choose to play that ignorant. And how's my lamp looking? That's kind of cool. Apologies. I'm just trying to overhear whether a motorbike's been stolen from one of the neighbours. I don't think it has. Hopefully it's not. It's happened to me. It's the freaking worst thing ever. These people are devils on earth. Okay, let me try and continue. Right. Yeah, so such materials typically avoided. Ultimately, they're equally ineffective as they don't actually remove the reasons for using porn. And yes, that is ultimately the main pillar of quitting. And ultimately, turning something into a forbidden fruit isn't how you treat addiction. Facts. And I've done that with junk food as well. Doesn't work. There's a common misconception that we choose to watch porn. Porn addicts, yes, addicts, no more choose to watch porn than alcoholics choose to become alcoholics. Than heroin addicts choose to become heroin addicts. Excuse me, keep burping on my chicken wings. Shout out Buffalo sauce. They weren't that good, can't lie to you. It's true that we choose to boot up the laptop or smartphone, fire up the browser, and visit our favourite online harem. I have to presume that's an Aussie lingo. I've never heard that apart from him. Love you, Fraser. Occasionally, I choose to go to the cinema, but I certainly didn't choose to spend my whole life in a cinema theatre. God, this is the first time I've like deeped that because it is like a home theatre. It's disgusting. Imagine taking all those tissues to an actual cinema. Anyway, originally, curiosity in human nature took me there, but I wouldn't have started had I known I'd become addicted, causing the decline of my health, happiness, and relationships. If only I'd heard about sexual dysfunction on my first visit to that porn site. Take a moment to reflect. Did you ever make the positive decision that you must/need porn to masturbate, or that you should/must/need porn-induced fantasies to spike up sex with your partner? Or that at certain times in your life you couldn't enjoy a good night's sleep, or perhaps even pass an evening after a hard day at work without surfing for porn? Or that you couldn't concentrate or handle stress without it? At what stage did you decide that you needed porn, that you needed it permanently in your life, feeling insecure, even panic stricken without porn? Uh, Without your online harem? Like every other porn user, you have been lured into the most sinister and subtle trap that man and nature have ever combined to devise. There's not a person alive, whether a user themselves or not, that likes the thought of their children using porn to cope or for pleasure. Realistically, cope. It is. I've read that more and more that watching porn isn't about sex or um, horniness. And its main trigger is emotional regulation. I don't want to go on too much of a side tangent, but it makes sense, right? If I started watching at 13, 14, and it just that kept being my way to cope with when stuff, it would quiet the brain temporarily as a drug would. Anyway. Okay, bear with me. Yep, so like every other user, you've been lured into the most sinister sort of trap that man and nature have combined to devise. What a deep way to say it. There's not a person alive, whether a user themselves or not, that likes the thought of their children using porn to cope or for pleasure. This means that all addicts wish they had never started. That's unsurprising. No one needs porn to enjoy life or cope with stress before they get hooked. And it's so true. Like, we don't gain anything from it other than it's shocking, which again is a drug. There's no benefits to it. That emotional regulation is an illusion because it's temporary, like a drug, and you'll crash even harder, and you'll be less in a place to actually do the healthy coping mechanisms. Okay. At the same time, all users wish to continue to use. After all, nobody forces us to launch our browsers incognito mode. Whether they understand the reason or not, it's only users that decide to knock on the doors of their online harems. If there was a magic button on the user could press to wake up the following morning as if they'd never accessed their first tube site, the only addicts tomorrow would be young people still experimenting. The only thing that prevents us from quitting is fear. Fear caused by the belief that we'll have to survive in an indeterminate period of misery, deprivation, and unsatisfied craving in order to be free from porn. These spawn from irrational beliefs, both learned and acquired, such as masturbation or sex leading to orgasm is the only and most important thing in life. Porn is safer than real life sex because porn can't reject me. Porn is educative and useful. And I've not learned a single thing from porn. Entitlement to a superior sex experience. More is always better. That's a dangerous one. Very relevant. These irrational beliefs spawn irrational consequences when acted upon, including worshipping and obsessing when a perfect 10 out of 10 is found. I've been guilty of that. Perceiving yourself as a loser if you miss out on sex, as if it's the most important thing in the human experience. It's not, because you might get an STD. Holding out for a perfect 10. Being excessively judgmental and critical of prospective partners. I've also been guilty of that. Forcing yourself to have sex whether you want it or not. Yeah, I can't really say I resonate with that one, but it's fear that a night all by yourself will be It's fear that a night all by yourself will be miserable, spent fighting uncontrollable impulses. Fear that the night before exams will be a night from hell without it. Fear that we'll never be able to concentrate, handle stress, or be as confident without our little crutch, and that our personality and character will change. But most of all, fear that once an addict, always an addict, that we'll never be completely free, spending the rest of our lives craving the occasional porn-induced orgasm at odd times. If, as I did, you've already tried all the conventional ways to quit and have been through the misery and torture of the willpower method, you'll not only be affected by that fear, you'll be convinced you can never quit. If you're apprehensive, panic-stricken, or feel that the time is not right for you to quit, let me assure you that your apprehension and panic isn't relieved by porn, it's caused by it. You didn't decide to fall into the porn trap, but like all traps, it's designed to ensure that you remain trapped. Ask yourself, when you viewed those first porn pictures and videos, Did you decide to come back to view them as long as you live? So when will you quit? Tomorrow? Next year? Stop kidding yourself. The trap is designed to hold you for life. Why else do you think all these other addicts don't quit before it kills their lives? I referred to a magic button. Easy peasy works just like that magic button. But let me be clear, easy peasy isn't magic, but for myself and others who found it so easy and enjoyable to quit, it seems like it. Storage low, oh dear, that's not good. The warning is as follows. This is a chicken and egg situation. Every addict wants to quit, and every addict can find it easy and enjoyable to quit. It's only fear that prevents users from attempting to. The single greatest gain is to be rid of that fear. You won't be free of that fear until you complete the book. On the contrary, your fear may increase as you continue reading, which might prevent you from finishing it. Take this comment from one woman. I've just finished reading Easy Peasy. I know that it's only been 4 days, but I feel so great. I know that I'll never need to use porn again. I first started to read your book 5 months ago, got halfway through and panicked. I knew that if I went on reading, I would have to stop. Wasn't I silly? You didn't decide to fall into this trap, but be clear in your mind you won't escape from it unless you make the affirmative decision to do so. You may already be straining at the leash to quit, or you may be apprehensive about the very thought, but either way, please bear in mind you have nothing to lose. Facts on facts. If at the end of the book you decide that you wish to continue to use porn for masturbation or sex, there's nothing to prevent you from doing so. You don't even have to cut down or stop using porn whilst reading the book. And remember, there is no shock treatment. On the contrary, I have only good news for you. Can you imagine how Andy Dufresne felt when he finally escaped from Shawshank prison? That's how I felt when I escaped from the porn trap. And that's how the ex-users who've used Easy Peasy feel. By the end of the book, that's how you'll feel. Go for it. Finally, everyone can find it easy and enjoyable to quit porn, including you. All you have to do is read the rest of this book with an open mind. The more you understand, the easier it will be. Even if you don't understand a word, provided you follow instructions, you'll find it easy. Most importantly, you won't go through life moping for porn or feeling deprived, and by the end of the book, the only mystery will be why you did it for so long. With Easy Peasy, there are only 2 reasons for failure. Failure to carry out instructions. Some will find it annoying that the book is so dogmatic about certain recommendations, such as not trying to cut down or using substitutes. I certainly don't deny that there are many who have succeeded in stopping using such ruses, but they've succeeded in spite of and not because of them. Some people can make love standing on a hammock, but it isn't the easiest way. The numbers for opening this trap's lock are in this book, but they need to be used in the correct order, going from one chapter to the next and not skipping chapters. Failure to understand. Don't take anything for granted. Question not only what you're told, but your own views and what society has told you about sex, internet porn, and addiction. For example, those who believe it's just a habit, ask yourself why other habits, some of which are enjoyable, are easy to break, while a habit that feels awful, costs energy, time, and virility is so difficult to break. Those that believe you enjoy porn, ask yourself why other things are infinitely more enjoyable you can take or leave. For me, gaming, football, gym, going for a run, socialising. Enjoy them all, but they're easy to stop, right? Those that believe you enjoy porn, ask yourself why other things are infinitely more enjoyable you take or leave. Why do you have to have porn? Why does panic set in when you don't have it? Easy Peasy is about to give you the knowledge on how easy and enjoyable it is to quit. Like many others, one of the greatest triumphs in life has been escaping the porn trap. One of my greatest victories, 100%. Top 5, probably higher. There's no need to feel depressed. On the contrary, you're about to accomplish something that every user on the planet would love to achieve. Freedom. Remember, do not skip chapters. Some terms before you begin. PMO. The cycle of porn, masturbation, and orgasm. Online harem. Aussie. Aussie slang. Website. Apparently, it means websites hosting high-speed internet porn. I do think that's his own. He's come up with that. But look, that's the end of that chapter. So we're on to chapter 1.2. But I am getting some storage notifications pop up. So I think it's because I recorded in 4K, and if I do another nighttime video, I won't because it's not necessary. But yeah, so that will do for now. That's 30 minutes, and it's the intro in the first main chapter. And I might even post it in chapters, to be fair, just so it's... I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter too much, like, you know, you pause and play, and pause and resume. But yeah, I think it could be quite useful having it done chapter by chapter, so I'll see.